And welcome back to The Buzz. Oh, here's a fun topic. Despite the long-lasting winter conditions, spring is quickly approaching. And along with spring is the April 18th tax deadline. That's right, not the 15th this year, but the 18th.
You get 3 more days, this many.
Yeah.
We're now joined by Tony Dennison from Dennison Tax Law in Minneapolis to help us muddle through all of the tax changes. All right, let's start with maybe some of the procrastinators out there who may have forgotten to file the taxes last year or any previous year.
Yeah, that's usually what I deal with is
procrastinators.
right, and I'll have most of my clients, or a lot of the clients, at some time in the past, they suffered an event, and they
An event like divorce, bankruptcy.
divorce, child ill, car accident.
Okay.
They come down with MS, things like that, and they don't file for that year, and they may have perfectly good reasons for not filing. Well, the next year, they become afraid because they think, well, the IRS hasn't contacted me. If I file now, they'll be on to me. And this goes on for many years. And then after about 10 years, especially if you have, in Minnesota, you have state tax, you're looking at 20 returns that are not filed. And first off, the IRS knows April 19th this year when you don't file because they have these things called computers. So it was a joke.
Computers, yeah.
So
We always get frightened when tax people start laughing or just joking.
Making
so that's
jokes.
why, yes.
So, one, they know about you already anyway. Now, the reason they don't contact you immediately is because, as
They're busy.
insidious as it sounds, I'm sorry?
They're busy.
No. The longer they wait, the more money they make because the interest is compounded every single day. And there's a little scale, and once you get to a certain point, your tax debt skyrockets. And if you don't file a return, there's absolutely no time limit on when the IRS can come after you. So they can, I've seen people attacked 15 years of returns.
So your advice to those people, the procrastinators, just file.
Well, no, not really.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, you're going to have to file, but you need a plan.
okay.
Because as soon as you file, they're going to be coming after you. It's kind of like you build a park and they'll come. Well, if you file back taxes, the IRS will definitely come. So you have to have a plan to represent your legal defenses, and you also have to have a plan to navigate within the IRS because in order to do certain things in the IRS, you have to be in a certain division. And what people need to understand is that the IRS is an adversarial situation. And the IRS is not going to help you keep money from them. So you have to have someone who is thinking 3 steps ahead of the IRS and quite frankly knows twice as much as the person you're talking to.
Okay, so if you can't afford to pay your taxes,
Right.
what we've heard all these years is, but you still have to file. Even if you can't pay the money, you have to fill out the paperwork.
Well,
so you're saying that's different now. That has changed.
No, that's true. But I think you might be a little backwards with that. The fact is, if you file late on an extension, you still have to pay April 19th.
So you're saying
It's a little backwards. You see what I'm saying?
So do it, but if
have a
because
plan.
people feel overwhelmed, especially if it gets to 3, 4, 5 years. You're saying go into it, contact an attorney, contact someone.
Well, a tax attorney. Tax attorney is different than, I have 2 law degrees. I have a standard law degree, and then I went back to law school because my parents hated me as a child, and I got, a second.
That was
two
another
should get
joke. I
together.
got that joke. I got that.
So-
joke. Now that one I got.
So I have a second law degree specifically in tax law. Now, let me give you an example. I had a call last week. A person called and he said, I have a tax issue. I have a lawyer, but I think he is over his head. Can you look at the case file and give me your opinion? Well, what happened is, I'm looking at a case file. There was a levy notice. Now you have a very short period of time to request what's called a process hearing, collection due process hearing. If it's done on time and properly, it will forbid the IRS from levying property. Well, this attorney who's practicing in tax law, he is not a tax attorney, and tax attorneys and CPAs, it's not their fault. They think they know the score, but they don't. Now, and this case was pretty drastic. So what happened is the attorney wrote a letter to the IRS explaining the situation, very reasonable letter, very reasonable arguments. but he didn't do anything to prevent the levy. So he's waiting for an answer on the letter, and the taxpayer's savings account evaporates. So the lawyer contacts the
We have about 30 seconds. We need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, you have to do the taxes, but you need a plan to make sure you're going to protect your rights as you go through, and understand that once you contest the IRS, they can become extremely
Aggressive.
nasty.
Okay, all right.
Aggressively nasty.
Aggressively nasty.
You have more reason to be a little bit nervous now.
Yeah. Well, Tony did throw in some jokes, so we
All
do
right,
feel a
thank
little
you, Tony.
better.
Appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for
Tony
having me.
Dennison,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Tax tips, it's coming up before you know it.